back.
Hi, Daff. That was extreme.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like it's been a hot minute and a lot has happened since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I guess people don't know about it because of the time difference. So basically, we posted Halloween as standalone episodes, which we only recorded 2, but we prepared a whole 7 days worth, researched, but we only had recorded 2 of them at the time that we had to, unfortunately, put our old lady down, our tiny totes, our baby girl. Yeah. So we didn't get them all out like we had planned to. So they came out as just like weekend shorties. They the weekend shoddy.
Please don't.
And now we're back and regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, because we recorded those like the beginning of October.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and now it's the middle of November.
Yeah.
So we haven't recorded for a while. So yeah, we're back even though you guys didn't even know we were gone.
Yeah, we're back even though you had no idea we left. I guess we've still been sitting here and editing and such.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
We know that, though. We know that we haven't really been gone. And We've been busy preparing cases and going to bring some very well-known ones in a minute as well.
Are we?
I am.
Cool.
I have one on deck that's a big one, which I think is going to be like an end-of-year New Year's-y one. Like, bring us into the new year with a big one.
Okay. Cool.
Bring us into the new year with a bang, or do we end the year with a bang?
Oh, and
that's
know what
the
else?
question.
It was our podiversary last weekend.
It was, and we didn't get anything out the day.
Well,
we got it out on Monday.
Yeah, but we didn't
Sunday.
even say it was our podiversary because we had recorded it in October.
Yeah.
So
that's us.
Yeah.
No podiversary here. It was so funny.
Go.
You know, like every time I go to the dentist and I come on here and I talk about them because we love them so much.
Uh-huh.
And they listen.
Mm-hmm.
One of the gals at the dentist office, hi, Ricky, our pretty Ricky. She goes, tell Gayle. I said, hi. She goes, I hear it now.
Alrighty then. Hi, Ricky.
All right. Okay. Disturbing fact.
Yes, please.
Disturbing fact time, since we're 2 minutes into this, damn near 3 minutes.
Disturbing fact.
Disturbing fact. Okay, this is from Cole the Science Dude on TikTok. I know, everyone's shocked. Daphne loves TikTok. Okay, it's out there. It's been admitted. It's been said. If TikTok ever gets closed down, Daphne's gonna die.
Wow, that's extreme.
It's dramatic because it's true.
Okay.
Everything I get in life comes from TikTok.
Frightening, but all right.
Well, hey, I follow like educational things, and that's what this is an educational thing.
Cool. There are some cool things.
Cole, the science dude, right? That's, I believe, his handle as well. But he talked about in this one video, which was truly disturbing, about eels, and that it's just like eels are a very scientific anomaly to anyone who's ever researched them. So if you cut an eel open, there's no reproductive organs in an eel. And so they don't know how eels are reproducing, okay? That's just like one tier of this.
Okay.
There's no like sperm, there's no ovaries, there's no nothing. There's no reproductive organs.
That's weird.
It's very odd.
Aren't earthworms like that though too?
Maybe. I don't know. But earthworms have like 10 hearts. I guess that's not a reproductive organ.
I was just going to say that. Okay.
But anyway, so they're studying them, right? And they're the only sea creature as well that can go back and forth between freshwater and saltwater without dying. Because I know crocodiles can be in both environments, or crocodiles can be in freshwater, but I think they prefer the saltwater, but it's like a very limited amount of time thing that they would be in freshwater, or vice versa.
And sharks too, like bull sharks and stuff, but it's brackish water is what they can be in. And brackish water is like fresh water that's like got a hint of salt water.
It has some salinity to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the eels, they can go back and forth between the two. And I'm not just talking like what do you call it?
Brackish
water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like straight up fresh water, like our tap water kind of a deal.
Ew.
And
sorry,
into the salt
you said
water.
tap water. That's why I said ew.
Yeah, I know. I was just telling a friend about the nastiness of tap water and all the microorganisms in it.
And our tap water tastes delicious, but I just know there's probably
microplastics and all kinds of gross shit in it.
Yeah, opioids and all kinds of crap.
Oh, nice. I was getting high. I didn't even know it. Okay. Back on track to the eels. So this kind of ties into one of the things you did. Eels, they will straight up, one will swim to and they'll have this like eel tract, right? One will swim into the Bermuda Triangle and out comes like fucking millions, or actually probably not millions, but like as if they were spawning from in the Bermuda Triangle.
That's cool.
Isn't that weird?
It's like their virtual reality or something.
And I guess they
or
also
alternate universe.
Yeah, a different dimension.
Yeah.
It's weird because they don't know how they're reproducing and like why one comes in and several go out, that they don't have, like I guess if one comes back out with a tracker and these other ones went in there with track, or like when they didn't track these ones, right, that are coming back out of there. Mm. So it's like almost like that's where they're being produced at.
Reproduced?
The reproduction's happening in there, but there's no reproductive organs in the eels.
That's fucking weird. I need more information.
And so they've studied them in their different stages of life, right? Mm-hmm. And they're so different. Like the metamorphosis of them is so different throughout all the different stages of their life. They know that they're the same animal, but they are not evidence-based showing that they are the same animal, like physically when you cut them open, when you look at them at the different stages of life. Mm-hmm. But they know that like this grows into that, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So that's my disturbing fact.
That's pretty weird.
It's weird to think about, right? Or is it just me?
No, it's complicated. Because my brain's now like a Rubik's Cube trying to figure it out.
Well, I don't think there's anything to figure out because scientists can't get it. So
you don't think I have a chance?
I don't think you're going to crack the case. No offense.
No.
I know you wanted to be a marine biologist.
I did.
But I don't know if you're going to be the one to crack the case of the eels from Colorado.
I don't know. Now it might be my mission.
My life's mission. How are eels made?
Well, thanks for bringing that.
Start a whole show on the Discovery Channel.
Instead of how it's made, how are eels made?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you. My
crazy.
My brain's
yeah,
maxed.
Cole the science dude. I'll show you the TikTok later. I could also post the TikTok. Well, I could save the video and it'll like still credit him when I save it and post it to the Instagram.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So I'm like, I have to give him that shout out because I've never heard about this before. And he's talking about that this is something that's baffled the entire science community for as long as anyone's cared to study eels.
Nice. I mean, not nice, but
interesting.
Yeah. Crazy.
Very out there.
Well, there are mysteries of the world that we have not figured out yet.
Yeah. I took this class a long time ago, my associate's degree days. So, wow, 3 degrees ago. And we talked about like ancient civilizations and stuff and how people credit the aliens for ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
And how it completely discredits our ancestors.
Yeah. Yeah, because people are like, well, how'd they build the pyramids? And how did the Incas build, the Mayan temples? And how did they get Machu Picchu? Like,
how did the Incans build the Mayan temples?
Oh, okay. It's been a long day.
Clearly.
Yeah, Daff, how did the Incans build the Mayan temples?
It was the aliens. Oh my gosh,
shit.
Mom.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, you want to get into your... That's awesome.
God, I'm not really that stupid, I swear.
You know where the Mayans came from, right?
I do.
Central America. And the Incans came from South America. So how did they build?
Okay.
They were in two places at once. That's
Moving
crazy.
on now that I've been outed as a dumbass.
Sorry, I didn't mean to smack the desk.
It's okay.
Okay, Miss Outed as a Dumbass, what you got for us today?
Oh.
You said, oh my God, you're going to love it. And I was like, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Just like that. So it's an old one. It's old.
I'm going to hate that laugh when we're recording it.
So it's an old one. It's a super old case.
Okay. How old are we talking?
Like early 1900s.
Nice.
And it's unsolved.
Oh, fuck. You hate unsolved
I
cases.
hate unsolved cases, but I love this case.
Okay.
But I hate
So
that
have
it's
you
unsolved.
had you ever heard of this case, or were you researching like macabre cases?
No, I saw like a little snippet of it when I was watching something else. Like I just saw a brief synopsis, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And so then I was like, oh, I should look into that because I was, just looking for something that I could put together sort of quickly because, okay, where was I before we had to stop it?
Talking about how you learned about this case and that you've been very interested in it. We had to stop it because the computer made the phone ring, or the phone was ringing and it went through the computer and you could hear it.
Yeah, so we had to. Anyway,
the phone was ringing.
Have you checked the children?
Right. I see you.
So I just saw a little tiny thing about it, right? And then I was looking for something because, as always, I'm working on a fucking case that's never going to end for me, that I'm never going to be able to finish because something always happens.
I mean, that's the problem with us is that we just can never call enough. We're like, okay, so what is a quaalude? Dive into a quaalude.
That was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't know why that was what I was thinking about. Probably because it's in our water supply.
Probably. So anyway, I'm working on this case that's just fucking never going to end for me working on it. And so in the interim, I have to pull these little cases out of my ass.
That aren't so little.
So I can present something. This is not so long. Then when you start, I was like, it's that whole thing where you're like, oh, this will just take me a short while. And then you're like, oh my God, this is really interesting and cool and different. And so again, it is the early 1900s. It is unsolved, which I hate, but I really like this case a lot.
I think the only one I semi-cut myself off with was some of the Samuel Little because I mentally could not handle all the descriptions of him killing people.
And it probably could have been 5 episodes.
Oh my God.
But anyway, okay, I'm going to jump into it.
Absolutely, sorry.
All right, so Joseph Force Crater.
Is that his real name?
That is his real name.
Force?
Force. A middle name is Force.
That's kind of cool.
That's a badass middle name.
I was just thinking, I was like, we got the power.
It's a badass middle name. So he was born January 5th, 1889.
Okay.
So that was a long time ago.
That was a long ass time ago.
Yes, in Easton, Pennsylvania. He was the oldest of 4 children. He was born to Frank Ellsworth Crater, and his mother was Layla Virginia Montague.
I like that name, Montague and Layla.
I like it too. Or it's Leela, but I think it's Layla. It's Layla.
Okay.
They both had immigrated to the United States from Ireland, and his father was an orchard owner, so he owned like an orchard, a fruit orchard. And then
yes, that's what being an orchard owner is. Owning an orchard.
Yes. And then he also had a produce market that he operated and ran.
From his orchard that he owned?
Maybe. Probably had to get some other stuff from some other people, but in order to diversify his
we don't
product.
know how big this orchard was.
We don't.
You said they were in Pennsylvania?
They were in Pennsylvania.
So they're growing like apples and pears.
Probably.
And grapes.
Cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And grapes on a vine.
Grapes on a vine. Blueberries. Okay. Let's stop.
The blueberry bush. The raspberries.
Raspberries. Blackberries. Okay. We have to stop because we don't even know.
Gooseberries.
Stop. Schnozberries.
That's what I was waiting for you to do. Because I came home with gooseberries the other day and I was like, schnozberries. I was like, what?
This is going to take us 9 hours.
It's cool. People missed us.
I don't know about that.
I missed us. I'm people.
Fair enough.
Keep going. Sorry.
It's okay. So his family was obviously, they were pretty well off. Like they're not rich, but they're doing okay. And in spite of them being well off and him not necessarily having to work, Joseph put in long hours working for his father from a very young age, and he learned the value of hard work. After he graduated from high school, he enrolled in Lafayette College in his hometown of Easton. He graduated in 1910 at the top of his class.
Jeez, that's so long ago.
So long ago. And
I know colleges existed then, but that's just weird to think about.
it's a long time.
It's a very long time ago.
And after he graduated from Lafayette University or Lafayette College, he went on to Columbia University in New York City to pursue a law degree, which he completed in 1916.
A law degree?
A law degree.
He did it in 6 years?
Yes.
Good for him.
Well, after he got his 4-year degree.
Well, yeah, because he graduated in 1910.
Yes. So, any hoodles.
So I said he did it. Good for him.
While at Columbia.
In under 10 years. That's impressive. Just saying.
Just saying. All right. So while at Columbia, he met a woman named Stella Mance Wheeler. Yes, Mance is her middle name. Also a cool middle name.
I don't think that's a cool middle name.
I like it. It's kind of strong. I don't know how I like it for a woman.
Well, that's...
Because it literally has the word man in it, but...
Well, oh my God, that's what I was talking to my friend about, the word hysterectomy. I was like, why does it have his in it? Men do not have ovaries.
Nope. Not in most cases, anyway.
The male species doesn't have ovaries.
It does not. So anyway, he met this chick. Her name was Stella Mance Wheeler. And when he met her, she was married. And Crater helped her with her divorce.
Juicy.
And then the two were married just 7 days after her divorce was final in the spring of 1917.
That's why I said I had a feeling it was juicy coming to scandal.
Right. I'm like, this is where we're starting to get good because I gave you his background. I gave you the backdrop.
Right. You gave me the backstory about his orchard that may or may not have supplied the produce store.
Well, I'm sure it supplied some of it.
May or may not have.
Yeah.
And I would like to say, when you talked about him learning a work ethic, I am too a gardener, and it is a lot of work.
Oh my God, it's so much work.
And I love it.
I love it too, but...
I'm like, I still have tomatoes. I love them.
You sold tomatoes?
I still have tomatoes.
I'm like, so you're opening a produce market as well?
I know. All I need is 2. Oh my God. If I would have had 2 more cherry tomato plants, I could have opened a store. Right now, we're only talking about a booth from the summer.
Just a stand.
Yeah.
All right. So Crater began his career in law as a low-paid law clerk in New York City. And so he needed like some extra money because clearly he's getting like super shit pay if he's got to get another job.
Right.
And so he began teaching legal classes at the City College of New York. So he's working as a law clerk and he's also teaching. So this is where the work ethic that he has learned over his lifetime comes into play, right?
Picking pears is hard.
Poor child. He started teaching legal classes at the City College of New York, also at Fordham University and New York University. So
he's got 4 jobs.
He's got 4 jobs, yeah. So he, tired of working a lot of long hours, he decided maybe he's going to go into politics, right? Because, you know...
I don't know how that's a clear-cut course. But...
Well, no, a lot of lawyers end up in politics.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about a lot, but having a legal career definitely segues people into politics.
Right.
So...
They know about the law.
Yes, exactly. They know how to circumvent the law.
Right, basically.
Right? Okay, I'll stop.
I was like, I don't want to dive into politics.
He was secretary to the New York Supreme Court Justice Robert F. Wagner Sr., and that was his first political appointment in 1920. So he's still within the court system.
Wow. So he's doing good.
He is doing good because he's young.
He's having he had to work 4 jobs, but he's like moving his way up there.
Yeah. Well, and I
think
he's
doing good for himself. Professionally.
At this time, he's only the secretary to the New York Supreme Court Justice.
Right. But then he graduated. So that's 4 years as a lawyer. Then he's moving his way into politics.
Right. And he's working under a Supreme Court justice, which is probably a pretty good gig for only being 4 years out of school.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Right. Under Justice Wagner, he made enough money and he was able to save up to open his own law practice in 1927. So it took him 7 years.
Thank God. I was afraid you were going to say produce store.
He opened a law practice in 1927, and he immediately found success, and the Craters were able to afford a maid, a cook, and a chauffeur, and they threw lavish parties, and they were even able to afford a vacation cottage in Belgrade Lakes, Maine. And luckily for them, they were unaffected by the stock market crash of 1929, because remember, he's getting successful. 1927 is when he opens, and then all of a sudden,
right,
he's booming, he's got
and
money.
Then the Great Depression happens.
Yeah, and then the Great Depression happens. So they were unaffected by the stock market crash of 1929, which is a little mini story in its own. And then I'm going to explain that later. Okay. How they survived the Depression.
Okay. So
or
were
how
they
like survived the stock market crash.
Were they like socialites then?
Yeah. She's in politics. He still has his own legal practice.
Well, are you allowed to be a socialite if you're new money?
Well, I don't think they're old money socialites, but they're throwing lavish parties.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're
I guess these are questions that don't really pertain to my lifestyle anyway. So.
Right. I'm like, well, how does this affect you?
Right. I had to go shopping at the Goodwill earlier for my interview jobs.
It's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. In April of 1930, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who at the time was the governor of New York, appointed Crater to the state bench. And FDR, right? He ended up being a president. But At this time, he's the governor of New York. And Crater's official title was Justice of the New York Supreme Court for New York County, which is a trial court judge despite the designation of Supreme. And I'm air quoting Supreme. So New York's highest court is the Court of Appeals. So it makes it sound like it's the Supreme Court, but
it's not.
It's not. He's a trial court judge.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed over the candidate that was favored by the powerful and corrupt Tammany Hall Democrats.
Okay.
So the Tammany Hall Executive Committee was formed in 1789 in opposition.
So it's got long-standing roots.
It does have long-standing roots. So it was formed in opposition of the Federalist Party. And after the year 1829, Tammany Hall became the city affiliate of the Democratic Party, and they controlled almost all of the elections. So controlled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
yeah, definitely corrupt.
The name became synonymous with corruption. Absolutely, 100%. So for FDR to go against them and appoint Crater was kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So shortly after Crater's...
Well, I mean, it makes sense. He likes to break chains, Mr. Roosevelt.
Yeah.
He likes to... he came to Colorado and killed all the grizzly bears.
No, that was Teddy.
They're not the same person?
No, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is not Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, shit.
But they are related.
Okay, well, that was real off in my mind. It's like, how did the Mayans create?
I was going to say, yay, I'm not the only dumb one tonight.
I just assumed
FDR.
Assumed
T. Not Teddy, not Theodore.
I just assumed that was a nickname. Teddy was a nickname for Franklin. I was like, I don't really know how you get there.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. No. And you know how old Teddy Roosevelt was? There is a picture of Teddy Roosevelt standing, like he's either in like outside or I think he's in a window when Lincoln's funeral procession went by. Because you know how Lincoln traveled the whole Abraham Lincoln, just to be clear.
I know.
Because you're looking at me like, who's Lincoln? Lincoln Logs?
Lincoln Logs? When did they travel?
So because Abraham Lincoln's funeral, his body was paraded across the whole United States.
What the fuck?
When he died.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God.
That's disturbing.
Well, yeah, that is disturbing. So anyway, there's a picture of Teddy Roosevelt as a child seeing Abraham Lincoln funeral procession coffin, whatever. And so
the parade of life.
Yes.
Or death.
So FDR and Teddy Roosevelt are not the same person.
Well, shit.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay, now I feel stupid.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for helping me out with my own stupidity. I don't feel so alone. I don't feel so alone now.
We're all so stupid tonight.
Okay, so shortly after Crater's appointment, inquiries into the corruption of Tammany Hall began. Tammany Hall politicians were accused of bribery, improper property transactions. That's hard to say.
Improper property transactions.
Yeah, not the transactions part, the improper property part. So
Well, it
improper.
helps if you make it a multiples properties. Improper properties.
Improper property transactions that allowed politically connected owners to make large profits at taxpayers' expense, and also of selling high-placed municipal jobs. Crater himself had been under investigation because of an incident that had happened early in 1929 when Crater was appointed the receiver of the foreclosed Libby Hotel in New York's Lower East Side. His duties were to handle the sale of the Libby Hotel and manage all of the money that it received from the sale, or all the money that was received from the sale. And he later sold the Libby Hotel to the American Bond and Mortgage Company for $75,000. And then 6 months later, the American Bond and Mortgage Company sold it to the city of New York for $2.85 million.
Wow.
So that's like some corruption.
Yeah.
That's like some
big name.
underhanded shit.
Yeah.
And that's how you survive a stock market crash.
Yeah, no shit.
Right? So quite the hefty profit. I'm gonna go out on a limb there and say that.
Holy shit.
Right. So there was also speculation that Crater paid off the political bosses at Tammany Hall for his appointment to the bench.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And Crater had liquidated investments worth $16,000 and withdrew $7,000 from his bank account that spring before he got appointed, right? Because he got appointed in April. So that spring, so that fueled rumors of possible payoff for his judgeship, right? Which, it kind of...
Jeez.
Right? So throughout the investigation, Crater maintained his innocence and there was never any proof that he was guilty of bribery.
Okay.
Okay. So
all right.
Alrighty then.
Because he paid people off. That
Right.
would make sense. That's why
Exactly.
there's no proof.
Right. Yes. Corruption continues.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's just in the water there.
Right. It's
Not the microplastics.
The circle of corruption.
Just the corruption.
Yeah. So in the summer of 1930, Crater and Stella were vacationing in their summer cabin in Maine when, according to Stella, Crater got a phone call and he told Stella no information about the caller and he gave little to no information about the content of the call, except to say to his wife that he needed to return to New York to, quote, straighten those fellows out. This was in late July. And instead of dealing with business when he went back to New York, like he's got to go back to New York, right? So instead of dealing with business, he made a quick trip to Atlantic City, New Jersey, with his mistress.
Nice.
Yeah, a showgirl named...
Well, that makes sense that he would have a mistress.
Okay.
And that she's
I was
a
all,
showgirl.
mistress. And you're like, oh, yeah, duh.
Well, no, I just think it makes sense. Like, look at who he is.
Okay.
Like, he turned from a nice farm boy,
orchard
boy, into a corrupt douchebag.
into a corrupt politician.
Right. Well, and he and his wife got married 7 days after he was her legal counsel in her divorce. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. This story's like a pop-up book.
Yeah, it is.
Like every page you turn,
I
it's like,
really like it so far.
yeah, it's so...
This could be a show.
It's so good.
They should do a live reenactment of it. You should be in it.
Oh my God.
You should play Stella.
Alrighty then. Wow. So his girlfriend or his mistress's name was Sarah Ritzy, and she was a showgirl who went by the stage name of Sally Lou Ritz.
Okay, better yet, you could play Sally Lou Ritz in the show.
Yeah, I totally could. I could be
Was
a
she
showgirl.
like a flapper girl?
I don't know. She was a showgirl.
Is that like, this is flapper times?
Maybe.
30s?
But I think it's more like, the big ostrich plume feathers in their hair kind of thing. And
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, are there pictures of her?
There are, but there aren't any showgirly pictures. Just regular pictures.
Okay, gotcha.
So then on August 1st, he went back to Maine to rejoin Stella, right?
Kind guy.
Right.
Kind guy he is.
Yeah. Then on August 3rd, Crater returned to New York. When he left Stella, he told her that he'd be back in a week by August 9th for her birthday. Stella said when he returned, he was in good spirits. And when he left, he was like in a good mood and he didn't give her any inkling that anything was wrong. And of course, she thinks that
This is when he left and said he was going to come back on the 9th.
Yeah. And of course, because when he left in late July and said that he was going to deal with those fellows or straighten them out or whatever.
When he was really going to go have some time with his lady.
Right.
His lady friend.
So she thinks that like whatever he was dealing with in New York, he had already dealt with. And now he's just like, whatever, happy-go-lucky. I got to go back to New York for a little bit and I'll be back by your birthday.
That's really what he's going to go deal with now because he had to go get some.
Right. With his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Stella said again that he was in good spirits and he didn't give her any inkling that anything was wrong. So she didn't think like anything was amiss or anything, right?
Right.
On the morning of August 6th, Crater went to his Manhattan office where his court chambers were, and he spent a few hours going through and destroying several documents. He had his law clerk, Joseph Mara, cash 2 checks for him that totaled $5,150. And at about noon, he and Mara took 2 locked briefcases to his apartment, and then he let Mara off for the rest of the day.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so do we know what he was destroying?
Nope, because he was destroying them. But obviously, it's like sensitive stuff if it's in his office, right?
Yeah.
So the same night, he went to the theater district to a ticket agency called Supreme Tickets, and the proprietor of Supreme Tickets, William Deutsch, sold him one ticket to go to the show Dancing Partner at the Belasco Theater, and the show was to start at 9 p.m.
And was Sally part of it?
I don't know.
Right, Sally.
We'll get there.
Sarah.
I'm going to go with no.
Okay, I didn't know if she was like a performer in it.
So the show is supposed to start at 9.
Okay.
After he bought the ticket, he went and met a lawyer friend named William Klein and his mistress, Sally Lou Ritz, at Billy Haas's Chop House on West 45th Street near Times Square. And the 3 had dinner, which ended a little after 9 p.m.
Okay. So not his timeline that he had anticipated.
Right. The accounts of what exactly happened after that vary. Initially, William Klein testified that, quote, the judge got into a taxi cab outside the restaurant about 9:30 p.m. and drove west on 45th Street. At first, Sally Lou Ritz confirmed Klein's account. Later, the pair changed their story and said that they got into a taxi outside the restaurant and Crater had walked down the street.
They're like, oh, just kidding, that was us.
Right. Oh, wait, we forgot. We were the ones that got into the taxi, not him.
Jeez.
Klein and Ritz also both said that Crater was his normal self and he didn't seem to be like stressed or worried in any way. And this was the last time that anyone would see or talk to Joseph Fort's Crater.
Wow. See him? So like no body?
Unsolved. I told you in the beginning.
No body.
I told you in the beginning it's unsolved. Can I get there?
Okay, yeah, sorry. You know I like to jump the gun on everything.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Daphne has 0 patience. Tell me now.
Okay, initially, no one seemed to notice or report that the judge was missing.
What?
But
what do you mean? I feel like...
So, and all this is August 6th, right?
But I feel like, well, I understand he wasn't meant to be back to Stella yet at this point. And so, of course, you know, she's not concerned about it because he said he'll be back there on the 9th. And that's,
right.
This is 3 days premature.
Right.
But doesn't he have, like, acquaintances or friends? I would feel like, given who he is already, what we know about him, they're more like acquaintances than friends. Colleagues, perhaps?
Well, nobody's keeping tabs.
Curious?
Let's just say nobody's keeping tabs, right?
Okay.
So...
And he's a socialite. So, like, weird. Like, when Serena Vanderwoodson went, people noticed.
Who's Serena Vanderwoodson?
On Gossip Girl.
Oh. When he missed Stella's birthday and did not return to Maine for the 10 days, or for 10 days past, I guess 10 days past her birthday, she began making phone calls to people in New York City to ask if anybody had seen him. And when the courts were back in session on August 25th, so like he's on summer break or whatever, right?
He's on a fucking hiatus.
Yeah. Well, the whole court system is like shut down or something.
Oh, it's a holiday or something for them?
Yeah. Well, and if he's gone July and August, like it's some kind of, like I said, like hiatus kind of thing. Maybe.
Well, that's weird. How do courts go on break like that?
Fuck if I know.
Like, I understand like actual holidays that they're like, you know, they're closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But the December 26th, judge is ruling out sentences again.
Most likely, unless it's a Saturday.
Okay.
So when the courts were back in session on August 25th and Crater was not there to preside over his courtroom, his fellow justices then became alarmed. They began a private search that didn't turn up anything. So finally, his disappearance was reported to police on September 3rd.
Okay,
so it's
that's
like
good,
almost a
but
month.
A month later.
It's almost a month since
That's
anybody's
my best
seen
friend's
him.
birthday.
And after that, it was front page news that the judge was missing. And the city of New York offered a $5,000 reward to anyone who could provide information that led to locating Crater, which of course prompted many false leads and sightings, right?
Right, of course. Everyone's like, I've seen Joseph.
Right. Oh, I think he's over there. Can I have my 5K?
Right. Well, obviously, his family and whomever is funding this.
No, the city of New York.
Oh, yeah, you said that. I'm sorry.
I did say that.
But, okay. I guess he must have been really important to them.
Well, he's a judge.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean he's important to them and that they're willing to fund his search.
Well, clearly it did, because they did.
Yeah.
Detectives in charge of the case soon found out that Crater's safe deposit box had been emptied and the 2 locked briefcases that Mara and Crater had taken to Crater's apartment were missing.
Wow. Okay, so corruption as fuck.
Crater was known to enjoy the city's nightlife. The detectives uncovered that Crater was involved with several different women besides his wife.
Several, so not just Sally Lou. Sally Lou, a.k.a. Sarah.
Several.
Well, I guess she's the same person, so. Well, I said a.k.a.
Yes.
I just had to process this in my head for a minute.
Process away.
Process away.
So 2 of the women that he had been involved with quickly left town, and the 3rd was murdered after Crater's disappearance.
What the fuck? Okay, so was one of them Mara?
No, Mara's his legal secretary.
I know, but that doesn't mean they're not involved.
His name is Joseph.
What?
His last name is Mara.
Oh, I missed his first name.
I'm pretty sure it was Joseph, but I know it's a dude. That's for sure.
I'm like, I totally missed his first name. I'm sorry.
Scrolling backwards.
I'm like, Mara is a lady's name.
Yeah, but it's his last. Yeah, Joseph Mara. So they have the same name.
Okay, so they probably weren't involved, assuming.
Most likely. I don't know.
Well,
I can't speak to his...
personal ventures, I should
can't
say.
speak to that. You never know.
Can't speak to preferences.
Cannot speak to preferences.
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry.
That's
so someone
okay.
was murdered and 2 disappeared.
2 scooted out of town.
Well,
and the 3rd was murdered.
They left willingly,
they were
not
gone.
disappeared.
Right. They just left. They're like, okay, we gotta go. Sally Lou Ritz left New York City in August or September of 1930, and she was found in late September living with her parents in Youngstown, Ohio. She said she had returned home because she was told that her father was ill. Detectives continued to question Ritzy about the details of the night Crater went missing until 1937, by which time she had moved to Beverly Hills, California.
So she just kind of fell off the map for them.
Well, no, because they kept questioning her for 7 years after he went missing.
Even after she's in Beverly Hills?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they just gave up, if that's what that timeline meant.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's suspicious. I wonder if her dad was actually sick.
Me too. But anyway, so she left.
Or was she poisoning him to make him sick as her excuse?
Oh my gosh, Daphne. There's not that twist.
That we know of.
Not that we know of. Another showgirl, June Bryce, had been seen with Crater the day before he went missing, and it was believed by a lawyer acting on Stella's behalf that June Bryce was at the center of a blackmail scheme and that her boyfriend, a known gangster, had killed the judge. And I tried to figure out who her boyfriend was, but I could not find it. Everywhere I looked, it was just known gangster, known gangster. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I hate that.
That sucks.
Yeah. So Bryce went missing the day that the grand jury was to convene on the case. She was not found by authorities until 1948. And when she was found, she was in a mental hospital and she was not able to speak, let alone give police any information regarding the night that Crater disappeared.
Oh, of course, right?
Crazy. So 1948, they found her. So
there's
18 years later.
There's a lot of shit happening here.
A lot of shit happening. Crater's jacket was reportedly found in the apartment of the 3rd woman, Vivian Gordon. Gordon, who was involved in high-end prostitution and was known to have liaisons with a number of influential businessmen and was at least on paper, the owner of a large number of properties that were believed to be fronts for illegal activity.
Shocker.
Right.
So they put it in her name so it didn't look suspicious, even though she is a prostitute.
Right. It's like not exactly
it's the oldest job in the world.
Yes. Girls got to make a living.
Yeah, right. Everybody's got to eat.
Yep. Exactly. She was also seen around town with a gangster named Jack, quote, Legs Diamond, with whom Crater was rumored to socialize with.
I like that last name, Diamond. Kind of like returning to Crane Neck. Does he have a lot of legs?
I don't know. Maybe long legs. Watch, he's probably short.
Well, I feel like that's kind of how it goes, right?
Right.
Crane
but did
Neck.
you hear me that Crater was rumored to socialize with the gangster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, duh. Of course he was.
Oh,
this guy is like
super
crazy.
shady. Yeah, he's corrupt.
Yeah, he started off as a nice orchard boy. I'll keep saying this. A good little orchard boy climbing those pear trees. And then...
Or picking blueberries from the bushes.
Yeah, just a nice little orchard boy. Hard work. Nice kid. Went to school. Got a good job. And then it all fell apart.
It all went to shit.
Yeah. Damn it, Stella. It was her fault. That was his first leg of corruption. Marrying her right after her divorce when he represented her into the divorce.
It didn't say he represented her. It just said that he counseled her. So I don't think he was her lawyer. I think he just was like, hey, you should do this.
Isn't that what that means? If they're your legal counsel, they're also your representation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he. I mean, I know that that's what it means, but I don't think he was her because it said he helped her. It said he helped her with her divorce.
Okay.
So, in addition to hanging out with this Jack Legs Diamond, Crater had also been close to Arnold Rothstein, who was Diamond's former boss and an organized crime figure. I'm gonna do Arnold Rothstein. He's so fucking interesting.
You should.
But anyway,
I've never heard that name before.
Oh, okay, that's sad. It was said.
Well, you have this love and you didn't pass that one on to me because you never educated me on the gangsters.
Sorry.
You just educated me on turning on Dateline when it was in the middle of the night and we were watching TV. And I'm like, cool, now I'll never sleep again.
Yep, that's come to fruition.
Yeah, literally insomniac over here.
It was said that Crater was very upset when Rothstein had been murdered. And so, yeah, again, I'm going to do Rothstein.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Mr. Joseph Forrest Crater had some very shady dealings.
Very shady dealings. So Vivian Gordon was angry about...
Politician. No more words.
No comments, no words. Vivian Gordon was angry about a conviction that resulted in her losing the custody of her 16-year-old daughter. On February 20th, 1931, she met with a lawyer for the Seabury Commission, and this commission was in charge of investigating the corruption of the Tammany Hall politicians. Gordon had offered to testify about police graft. And graft refers to a form of political corruption, which is defined as the use of a politician's authority for personal gain. Political graft occurs when funds intended for public projects are intentionally misdirected in order to maximize the benefits to private interests.
Well, still a lot of that happening today.
Yes. A lot of graft.
A lot of graft.
Vivian Gordon
was a craft for the graft.
Vivian Gordon was just 27 years old when she was murdered 5 days later. Her body was found on a New York street and she'd been strangled. She had also been stripped of a pricey mink coat, a $2,000 diamond ring, and a jeweled wristwatch. These items were found in a ditch in Van Cortlandt Park the morning of February 26th.
So whoever killed her stole her shit and then ditched it?
So like to make it look like it was a robbery.
Like a robbery gone wrong?
Yeah, because it was 5 days after she testified.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, I feel sorry for her. Very, very, very sorry because she lost her kid.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have used money selling that jacket and that watch to buy her kid back.
Well, I think she lost her kid because of, it said a wrongful conviction, so I'm assuming it was prostitution, which if she was
The oldest job in the world.
A prostitute, then it wasn't wrongful. But anyway, so the publicity surrounding Gordon's murder led to the resignation of a policeman whom she had accused of framing her. And because of the shame and grief caused by the scandal, on March 3rd, Benita Biscoff, who was Gordon's 16-year-old daughter, committed suicide.
Oh, shit. That sucks.
It
I
sucks.
hate hearing, like, the trickle-down effects of things.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, that's just another added layer of, like, fuckery. Fuck! Why do we do that?
Because we are who we are.
We are the same.
The publicity surrounding her murder also refocused the attention on the corruption investigation, which ultimately led to the resignation of Mayor Jimmy Walker and largely eliminated Tammany Hall's hold on the city, which had already been weakened by the murder of Arnold Rothstein and the conflict over his former empire. It was believed that Tammany Hall was afraid to prosecute the Rothstein case because Tammany men were too intimately connected with Rothstein's world.
That would make sense. Mm-hmm. They're all corrupt.
Yeah. So Arnold Rothstein's murder is also unsolved.
Okay. I would say that the silver lining of her death would be that New York could come back to whatever it was before. But it's still probably corrupt.
I have no comment. On January 20th, 1931, Stella found envelopes containing checks, stocks, bonds, and a note from the justice in a dresser drawer that had been empty when previously searched by police.
So somebody came and placed it in there for her.
Somebody did.
Somebody was looking out for her.
Something happened. These discoveries led to new but inconsequential leads. Stella was evicted from the Fifth Avenue apartment that she had shared with Crater because obviously he's not there. He's not working.
Right.
But she's,
Well, obviously he's not working. He's missing.
Yeah, he's dead. He's missing.
He's dead.
Well, I'm assuming. I mean, it's never been solved. She remained at the cottage in Maine during the search for her husband. And by July of 1937, she was reportedly living on only $12 a week, working as a telephone operator in Maine. Stella petitioned the court to have Crater declared officially dead so that she could collect his life insurance policy. On April 23rd, 1938, she married this guy named Carl Kuntz, who was a New York City electrical contractor. And interestingly enough, Kuntz's first wife had hanged herself 8 days before the wedding.
What the fuck?
Right? It's just like...
Why would you want to marry a guy whose ex-fiance took her own life?
She's wife, his first wife.
Oh, his first wife?
His first wife.
Hung herself before the wedding, you said?
Before the wedding of Stella and Carl.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so she was...
Not before her own wedding.
I was like, why would you want to marry someone whose wife literally, or future wife, offs herself before the marriage?
No.
She's like, this is the only way I can get out.
Okay, on June 6th, 1939, Crater was finally declared dead in absentia. Stella then received his $20,561 life insurance policy.
How much was it?
$2,561.
Oh my God, that's like nothing compared to what he made.
Well, which in today's money is about $431,000.
That's like nothing compared to what he made.
Yeah, but he wasn't still making it, so I mean...
Yeah, but what happened to all of his money?
He obviously squandered it, and because his safe deposit box were emptied, right? The briefcases were empty. We don't know what was in the briefcases. He'd emptied out. He had liquidated. But he didn't have a
bank account?
Well, he had liquidated his assets and cashed pretty much all those checks and stuff.
Right, so someone stole all of his money.
Well, he liquidated his assets, and then those funds were never found, and then that's when he was accused of...
stole his money.
Well, but he was accused of bribing his way into the judgeship.
Right. Okay, so he sold himself.
He sold off a bunch of his investments, took $7,000 out of his bank account.
He would still
then
have
turned
some
around,
money.
took another $5,000 out of his bank account.
You would think he would still have something that she could lean on.
Well, clearly not. If she got evicted from their Fifth Avenue.
I know, obviously, but you would just think that would not be how the cookie would crumble.
Not everyone has a nest egg.
Yeah, well, he sounds like he should.
He should, but he didn't.
Even though he has a shady dealings, I mean, you would think he'd have some kind of a savings fund.
Well, and maybe he like maybe there was a bunch of cash in that safe deposit box or whatever, but
Yeah, we'll never know.
out, so we don't know. And then also like the envelope with the stocks and bonds and stuff. I don't know. But
At this point, everyone in this case is probably dead, so we probably don't know.
For sure. You know.
Unless he went on to live his life as a vampire and is immortal.
Okay.
And does know what happened.
Well, and part of me is like, well, did he just scoot?
Maybe.
Because he was never found.
I'll let you finish, and then I'm sure you have theories.
Okay. In August of 2005.
Oh, gosh. Recent.
It was ish.
Almost 20 years ago. So
that's
recent.
relatively recent compared to 1930.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was revealed by authorities that Barbara O'Brien, a Long Island resident, found a letter left by her grandmother, a Queens resident named Stella Ferrucci Good, who died at the age of 91, and she had penned this letter.
This isn't Stella.
No.
Okay, different Stella.
Different Stella. Stella Ferrucci Good. In this letter, she claimed that her husband, New York police detective Robert Good, had learned that Crater had been killed by Charles Burns, a New York police officer who also worked as a bodyguard for Murder Incorporated, which that's a mob thing. So, Murder Incorporated.
It sounds like it's not a government agency.
Well, because it's incorporated, I thought you might be like, what kind of business is that?
It's not like Death Row Records.
No. It's Murder.
Or Death Row Label.
Murder Incorporated. The enforcer, Abe Rails, I don't know how to say it, and Burns' brother, Frank, a taxi cab driver. Okay. Back to the taxi cab.
Yep.
According to the letter, Crater's body was buried near West 8th Street in Coney Island, Brooklyn, which is the current site of the New York Aquarium.
Huh. So they'll never figure anything out because they're not going to tear down the aquarium for one guy's body.
Nope. Other sources say the letter said that Robert Good had been involved in the murder too, but the letter itself has never been made public, so I don't have any idea.
I don't either.
I
don't have any. I'm like, I don't either. Me either. No idea.
Also trying to figure out if there were ever any bodies that were found during the excavation of the aquarium area.
So they did excavate it.
Well, they had to excavate it to build the aquarium.
Oh, okay.
Originally.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like trying to see if there was any evidence that, that there were bodies, that they found anything.
Yeah.
And there was no record of anything like that. And some sources said, yeah, there were 5 bodies found. And other sources said, no, there was nothing.
Well, maybe it has to do something like that. The Cheeseman Park thing that we learned.
Yeah, but
that they don't report on it. That they don't report on it anymore because of people stealing things.
Well,
it's like that one person that stole the skull.
But even in the excavators' records, they would have to report it to the police if they found bodies.
Doesn't necessarily mean the police records have been released.
No. Well, no, but there's nothing, no information. So, like I said, one source is like, oh yeah, there are 5 bodies.
Like when they find bodies at Cheeseman Park now, they're reported obviously. But they're not
made public.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the case was officially closed in 1979.
That's a long time later.
A long time later. June 22nd, 1981, Crater's last letter, possibly written on the day of his disappearance, was sold at auction for $700. The letter was marked confidential and it began, quote, "The following money is due me from the persons named. Get in touch with them for they will surely pay their debts. It had been falsely reported that the letter was Crater's will, but it wasn't.
Yeah, this obviously sounds like
a letter.
Someone needs to pay up.
Right. Crater became part of pop culture. So the phrase to pull a crater was used if someone was missing or couldn't be located, but not in the sense of permanently missing, but hey, where did you go? Don't pull a crater.
Oh, that's weird.
Right?
It's far out.
Pop culture, man. It seems that there may have been several people who wanted Crater dead. Does it not?
So when you don't text me back, I'm going to be like, don't pull a crater.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like there were lots of people who wanted him dead. It sounds like he had a lot of... Well, that's the thing, too. It doesn't sound like necessarily there were people who wanted him dead. It sounds like he was a part of a lot of shady shit happening that he raveled himself into.
Right.
Not necessarily maybe it was some kind of ransom situation too that we don't know about that went wrong.
Maybe. But it was, it was either extortion and then he was going to stop paying it, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So political affiliations are one consideration, right?
Obviously.
Because he's with all these corrupt politicians.
Yeah.
And he potentially paid for his judgeship.
And there's that picture of Theodore Roosevelt with Abraham Lincoln's body.
Yes, that totally has something to do with it. A jealous boyfriend of one of his mistresses, perhaps.
That's actually, I feel like, a super valid thing.
Could be.
But I feel like I would, if this was me in that position, if I was being cheated on from my partner with a person who was of high status, I might just extort money.
Well, but if you're extorting money and then he threatens to stop paying it, then you kill him.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then there's also the fact that these women, not necessarily the showgirls per se. Well, the one showgirl was dating a gangster, that was known. That Sally Lou Ritz, Sarah Ritzy or whatever. Sarah Ritzy was her actual name.
Yeah.
She was like a normal person because I found stuff about her, but I don't really want to get into it. But
Oh, so she wasn't necessarily tied into all the gang activity.
no. And she, yeah.
Mobster activity.
Yeah,
I guess it's
she
New
just-
York. It's not necessarily a gang, it's mob.
She went on to like have a family and
The
be
mafia.
a grandma and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So just
I don't know if I
live-
should say that's sweet. Like, oh, that's nice. Because I feel like she's also suspicious.
I don't know. I feel like what I think from her, this is what I think personally, is that she left because she knew something and she didn't
Well,
want
that's
to
what
wind
I'm
up.
saying. She's suspicious.
But I don't think she was involved. I think she just knew something. And she didn't want to get killed like Vivian.
They don't have
Although
protection orders for people.
Vivian got killed 5 days after, but that
Doesn't
was also
necessarily
all
mean
the way.
she has a protection order.
Protection orders don't keep people from getting killed, especially by mobsters.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair because they're also tied in with the police and the politicians.
Right. And that Vivian Gordon, she didn't get killed until 1931. So that was like well
while
after.
later.
Well after Sally Lou Ritz had left, or Sarah Ritzy had left. And so obviously she's probably like, shit, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
She knew something
Yeah,
that she shouldn't know
I think so.
or that someone didn't want her to know.
That's what I think. Or she was like too tightly connected to all of the goings on and was like, shit, I better
Skadoot.
Yeah, better get on out of here. So, it's a mystery. Probably will remain a mystery forever since at this point it's been
This
9.
case is marked unsolved.
Yeah, one closed. And it's been 93 years since it happened. And there's still like no clear answers about what happened. And everyone involved in the case is long gone. And finding facts and records pertaining to the case are conflicting like all over the place because they're old.
Is
Like-
this still something people are looking into?
No, because it was closed in 1979.
I know, but if shit came up.
Well, I'm sure if something like dropped in somebody, that letter from 2005,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
but
saying. It didn't get added to the record.
it got added to the official record, but like you can't confirm it.
Yeah, because everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead and his
The only
body was
person-
never
The
found.
only person who could really confirm if it was his or not and what it meant and everything would be him and the whole case is surrounding him and what happened.
Right. And his body was never found.
Yeah.
So like, it's just,
That's because it's under the aquarium.
but right. It's just a mystery. So, and as always, I used the information that I found in multiple sources. And so I rely on that to be the most factual information that I can give you.
Yeah.
And
Trustworthy
also,
sources.
as always, I have a love-hate relationship with Wikipedia. And
I don't think we talk about this on here. I think we just talk about it with each other.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up right now. Because
anyone can add
Because
anything.
anyone can edit it. But sometimes it's a great like jumping off point because it could point you in a direction that you may not have considered. And then when you read something on Wikipedia and then you go and research it from a more reliable source, shall we say, and you find it in multiple places, then you know that it's true. Or if you can't find it anywhere else, then you know
not
that's
necessarily
bullshit.
may be true, but it's corroborated across multiple sources, so it's more likely.
reliable. And if you can't find it anywhere, then it's bullshit. But so yeah, because I'm always like citing Wikipedia in the show notes. And it's like,
I know. Well, that's because we have to reference it as our source.
Well, we
because
do, because I use it. But
Yeah.
I also know that anybody can edit it and it's not
it's not truly reliable.
Right. But I like
Well,
using
I know sometimes it's helpful for some things.
Well, like I said, it's a good jumping off point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I never really start with Wikipedia.
I think it's a good direct. Oh, see, I start with Wikipedia a lot and the things that it says, then I like individually research those elements in relation to whatever it is
Gotcha.
I'm looking up.
And I almost never start there. But if I get like stumped or I'm like, I got to be missing something here, then I'll go to Wikipedia and it'll tell me something. And then, like I said, it'll point me in a different direction of things that I can look at.
It was nice. Like in the Samuel Little case, there was a list of the victims on Wikipedia and like of the unknowns, the Jane Does, the ones that like he talked about but had never been found, those kinds of things. Like there was a full-blown list of those things, like a table, right, with the information.
Right.
But
it could have been edited.
No, I was going to say, like, it was nice to have those things, like, put together in a list. Because then I was able to go back and forth between the FBI's website and what they had to be like, did I check this box?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah, just going back and forth and checking myself, making sure, like, everyone who I could mention was mentioned if they were there, you know? Because, like, there was no pretty neat tied list on the FBI's website or like the Texas Ranger, the one who like had the involvement in the Samuel Little case, that also has that information on the website.
That's weird that Wikipedia would have it in a like a chronological
it looked
table.
Not necessarily a chronological table, just like a list. And there wasn't necessarily like a list of those things. I mean, they were listed out, right? But they weren't, it was like the list was in a different fashion. It was nice to have it sorted.
Gotcha.
Through Wikipedia. Like someone went in there and sorted the information.
Gotcha. So what do you think? What do you think about Joseph Force Crater?
Well, I'll give you my thoughts. That I think that, honestly, what it sounds like to me is that he might have just taken the fuck off.
That's
and back then, it sounds like it might have been way easier to do then. Because, I mean, if you're... shit, he could have gone to Alaska. No one would know what was happening in Alaska.
Right. The only thing that gets me off of that is the taxi cab thing, because Sally Lou and William Klein, they
changed their story.
Yeah, they said he got into a cab, and then that letter that woman wrote said that the guy, one of the guys that killed him, was a cab driver, and so
yeah,
he could have picked him up,
right?
You know,
he could have, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they changed their story. They said that, like, oh, no, we got in a cab. Like, how do you forget that?
They said that the cab driver was the person who killed him and, like, took the credit because maybe it was something cool to take the credit for, like, later down the road.
But he was
the brother of that. Maybe he wanted to take the credit for it, but he actually, like, took him somewhere for him to flee.
Right. But he was the brother of that police officer,
the corrupt one,
who was known to be a mob enforcer, and also that whole police graft thing was going on where, like,
he's the one that killed June, right?
June was in the mental hospital.
The one that was murdered, I'm sorry,
Vivian. We don't know who murdered Vivian,
but he was the one who had the involvement in there that forced the resignation.
Well, maybe him. I don't know. It didn't say. It just said that she was going to testify against
a police officer.
Okay. So I just feel like there's a lot of corruption, and
this is like a really tricky one. This is a tricky one to unfold and process through.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of different ways this could have gone. I mean, there's obviously one clear-cut way that it did happen, and we don't know what that is.
But obviously, there's one thing that happened, but who knows what the fuck.
But I mean, there's a lot of moving parts because the people he was involved with. So of course, it's easy to like point fingers and look at these people, but it might not necessarily be true. Just because you're involved with shady people doesn't mean something bad like that happened,
right? Well, it's almost like a spider web in a way.
Oh my God, absolutely.
You know, because like one thing leads into another, and then you've got this guy in the middle of all of it.
Right.
You know?
Well, what I was thinking, like my kind of train of thought what I was trying to say when just because you're involved with bad people doesn't mean something bad happened to you is like you could be a drug dealer doesn't mean you're doing the drugs.
Right.
Right.
You're just a business person.
You're just a partner.
An entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. That could be where he sat in all of it. Just because he has these involvements with these people doesn't necessarily mean that something bad happened to him in relation because of these people. Sounds like to me like maybe he took off, but I don't know why he would take off from like the lavishness that was happening in his life.
Well, and he destroyed all those documents and
right. But see, that sounds like an exit to me.
It does sound like an exit. Or it sounds like, again, you're going to stop paying the extortion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just weird. But anyway, I think we should wrap.
Okay. I like it.
Thanks. I thought it was pretty cool.
I just saw the mistress part coming because of what you were, everything that led up to it. It just kind of was like, okay, yeah, I could see that.
Right.
I wasn't like trying to take away your thunder, but like the mob part, when you started bringing that into it, the mafia, what's the proper term for if they're in New York?
Well, it depends on the affiliation.
I don't know. We'll have to look at it sometime. Not
or
that
maybe
it really
they're
matters.
interchangeable.
Perhaps.
Like you're my daughter and my kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Perhaps.
Just throwing that out there. Anyway.
No, I like it. I just
hate
think
Unsolved, but
there's
a
lot of moving parts
really...
to this one. And it's interesting. And it definitely is making my brain do like backflips right now.
And you know what it did? It made me understand why you like to do the Unsolved.
There's a nice element to thinking about the mystery.
Yeah.
Well, I know you hate when I do Unsolved. But
because I want a resolution, but that's just my personality.
I feel like, well, and that's so weird because I'm such a black and white person, but I think I like the element of the mystery with the Unsolved. God, that's so fucking bad to say out loud. I love unsolved mysteries. Let's not catch whoever did it. No, I don't mean it like
show
that.
Called Unsolved Mysteries, so you're not the only one.
No, I know. No, and I feel like that's so like backwards to why I want to be here and doing this today but I mean, it's victim awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, of course we want justice, but it's also about the awareness aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the unsolved ones, they create a different fire, I think, in my brain that it makes me question a lot of things. It makes me want to do more digging. It makes me want to crack why eels are reproducing in the Bermuda Triangle without any reproductive organs.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. All right. Well, I'm out. Good night.
Follow us on the gram at That's Disturbing Podcast. You guys all suck. We no longer have a website. We still own the domain in case we ever decide to relaunch it. But
smart move.
Yeah, I shut down the website because we got 2 case request forms. One from Patty, who's at our dentist. I love Patty. We are actually going to have Patty on sometime. And one from my cousin who wants us to do a case.
Who put 4 words in the fucking subject line, and we're supposed to understand that.
Well, he and I had a conversation about it in person.
Know. And you said, fill it out. And so he put...
I know. I said, if you want me to do it, you're going to fill it out, Blaze.
Yeah. And he put 4 words in the subject line and sent it.
Whatever. I know what he was talking about because we had the conversation. Yeah. You just happened to be the one who saw it first, and then we're confused. All right. But we also have a Gmail if you would like to send us a case request there. But it seems like everyone is just happy with what we're picking. So maybe we'll just continue on this front. No one gets any input but us.
Right. Well, we've gotten a couple of DMs about what we should do.
Yeah, like we did the Monroe House per request. Mm-hmm. Someone requested Cheeseman Park, even though that was literally done. Mm-hmm. Just didn't listen to the episode, I guess.
Right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, and there's there's at least one other one that's sitting there that we need to, I can't remember what it is, though. Because I'm always rabbit holing on some other shit.
Right. Okay, so I guess we need to sit down and make a list as what's going on also.
Yes, also. All right, well, cool. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.